John Stossel.
Oliver Wendell Holmes, the former Supreme Court Justice, once said, "Taxes are what we pay for a civilized society." Liberals like citing that, but Holmes said that in 1927, when taxes were just 10% of GDP. That's enough to pay for a civilized society. But America's government's grown so fast, that it's now spending 40% of GDP. I think it's now much too big, but I do want to pay my fair share, so what's that? What is fair? I now give most of my income to the government. Poor people pay a smaller percentage, and lots of people say that's fair. I see their point. But Texas Congressman Louie Gohmert says it's not fair, and America needs a tax. Meaning, Congressman, what?
Well, it means that when people hear the word fair share, or the fair, it ought to be flat tax. The only way to truly make things fair, so that if you're making more, you pay more, you make less, you pay less, make it a flat tax. The word fair ought to bring to mind a flat tax. And the president has talked repeatedly about Warren Buffett's unfairness in not paying as high a rate as his secretary. Well, fix it. Make the capital gains 15. Make the income tax 15. We can work out a number, but make it flat to make it fair. You hear people say, well, I want it fair, and they really do, but they cannot tell you what a fair share is. You give them the numbers about the top 1% making 13% of the money and paying 39% of the taxes, their eyes gloss over. But if you say, well, would it be fair if everybody paid the same rate across the board? They go, yeah, that sounds fair. I think Americans are ready for it.
I am skeptical. I think most Americans would say Warren Buffett has billions of dollars. He should pay more than I do.
That's absolutely right. He should pay more than
But he should pay a higher
should.
percentage, I mean.
Well, that would be a progressive, and that begins to play into people's jealousy. And I don't want to go after millionaires more than anyone else. Make them pay their fair share. That's a flat tax. And I don't think people would mind if you saw that they would not have all the deductions, all the wiggle room. They would be in the same exact position as everyone else.
And so when you talk about having this flat tax, you also talk about getting rid of deductions. You would just keep charity and mortgage interest deduction. Everything else gone.
Everything else gone. Everything gone. And, you know, if you were going to design a system that would allow maximum corruption, maximum lobbying efforts, maximum fundraising in Washington, you'd create a system just like we have, where it's so complex. We've gotten to this point now. We've got to fix it. It can't keep going like this.
But the complication comes in all the stupid deductions and exceptions. The complication, a graduated progressive tax rate is not that complicated.
Well, but the way that the wealthy have not been fighting so hard against the progressive rate is they've got all the loopholes. I think the wealthiest would quit fighting so hard if they were on the same level playing field with everyone else, and I think people would accept that. But our leadership so far has not been willing to push it, and I think it's a no-brainer. We ought to be pushing it.
Thank you, Congressman Gohmert.
Well, thanks Steve Forbes and Art Laffer and all those who've been pushing before me.
We'll hear from Art Laffer shortly on the show.
Good.
Now, what I